Billy Joe Saunders, who is the WBO super middleweight champion, I believe. What's going on with the WBO super middleweight title? Didn't Canelo get it off Rocky Fielding? I don't know what's going on. I do know he won the vacant belt, so it became vacant at some point, I presume, unless it's a super WBO belt. I don't know what the fuck's going on with belts these days. But he's fooling about at 168 these days. But what he said recently, in reference to Gennady Golovkin's upcoming fight just later this evening against Sergei Derevyanchenko, is that he believes this fight is going to take something away from the Kazakh slugger. And he didn't, I don't think, give a follow-up comment, but I know what he means by this. He's like, looking at him, he is a hyena licking his chops. And this is coming from a guy who previously, a few years ago, when he was possibly having his rematch against Chris Eubank Jr., he was saying that Golovkin would beat both of us at the same time. During that time that the Kazakh was on the rise, sort of 2013 to 15, nobody wanted a part of him because it looked like he was just cutting through people like butter. I respect all those people who did fight Golovkin at the time, particularly Curtis Stevens, because he actually had a go of it. But no doubt, the real tragedy of Golovkin's career for me is just the fact that nobody really stepped in the way of the train when it was at full speed. They had to seem slowed down a little bit. They had to seem have a bit of difficulty against Danny Jacobs before Canelo Alvarez got in there. And Billy Joe Saunders has done a complete 180 on the perceived abilities of Golovkin, because he was initially like, this guy is far too tough. This guy's annihilating people. Now that he's seen that some people have gone the distance with him, that Canelo arguably beat him, and if he just sees him slow down a bit more or have another tough fight, the fact he's pushing 40 now, he is going to fancy the job. Now he wants Canelo as well because he feels his style will give him all kinds of trouble, and it very well may do. Although Canelo is very quick on the counter as well, so it might not go quite as he envisions. But his style could definitely give Canelo trouble. But he would also like to fight Golovkin, who, of course, has never been the quickest guy. And as he sees him slow down, he's just thinking, yeah, I fancy it more and more and more. But, well, you can respect it in a way in terms of being an opportunist. But that is not proving you are absolutely the best man, is it? Now, there's a phrase in boxing that has become more and more popular where they say, fighters say, it's all about timing. It's all about timing. They're not just talking about earning potential with a fighter, about it getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Often they are talking about a fighter losing something, losing a step, so they're more vulnerable, so that they can then go on to defeat them. And that is exactly what Billy Joe Saunders is doing with Gennady Golovkin. He hopes to see him get a bit busted up, to just look that little bit slower, so that that guy now will still be in his prime. And Billy Joe Saunders is still, I think, waiting for his first big real fight, his big mega fight against one of the top guys. And if he sees him just drop down a step, I think similar to how Canelo saw Golovkin not look quite as great against Jacobs, that's when they decide to step and go, okay, now I'll fight this guy. That is not in the spirit of boxing. The whole spirit of boxing, and when boxing is at its best, is when one guy looks electric and the other guy steps up and goes, I will stop him. I don't care how good he looks. Now, Mayweather may have always beaten Pacquiao. We don't know. Maybe he would have. Maybe he wouldn't. But I think that the clearest obvious fact about the whole Mayweather-Pacquiao saga, which has been done to death, and we need to stop talking about it, is that Mayweather clearly didn't like the way Pacquiao was cutting through opponents. He goes, you don't just go through Cotto like that. He didn't like it, but there's just something that leaves such a sour taste in the mouth. When a fighter, you're supposed to be a fighter, when a fighter talks like that. So Billy Joe Saunders is basically hoping to see that Gennady Golovkin looks even more vulnerable. But if that fight does occur sometime in the next couple of years, and he does somehow outpoint the classic Kazakh slugger, there just simply won't be that much glory in it.